Hello.
Hi, Jennifer. I sent you via email the YouTube live link. So if you want to post it on Facebook, I've already posted it on the website.
When I posted it last time, I posted a link, so I think it might work. Let me check it and see if it will work.
Okay. Website?
When I posted it last time, I posted. Okay, it works.
Good. Because you might not need it right away. Yeah. Sometime in the future. Hey, Mindy. Page. Oh, and Vanessa.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friend.
Look what I have.
Oh, the best trip ever.
No. It's been a rough day, Miss Page.
Sorry.
I feel a field trip coming on.
Ooh, maybe we need to go to Ulta.
Oh, yes. We do need to go to Ulta.
Hey, everybody. Do we have the link up for the Facebook Live?
Yes, it is.
Is it on the web or on our website?
Yes.
Okay.
And I posted it when I posted the announcement of the meeting, I posted a link to the web page that it's on and then just posted on there how to find it.
Wait, did you send that on an email?
No, I posted it on the PTO Facebook page for public viewing.
Okay.
I'm texting the link to somebody if she's the same person's asking you that's asking me.
You're muted, Missy.
She doesn't have Facebook, so I know. Yeah.
I'm texting it to her. The link.
Okay.
I assume it's the same person.
It's on the website, so hopefully they'll be able to find it.
That's where I got it. I have it now saved as a favorite so that I can just click on the website and start using it more often.
All right, we are all here, correct?
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and call to order at 5:48 p.m. Wait, hold on. 5:48. Sometimes my laptop is wrong and always my desktop is wrong, so I have to check my phone. All right. Does anyone have anything they need to revise or prioritize on the agenda? If not, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as written?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
And can I get a second?
I'll second. I'm muted still.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? You're in favor? Okay. All right, do we want to approve all the meeting minutes? Jennifer sent out 5 very early this morning.
I know.
Or do we want to wait for another meeting, or do you want to sit here and read through them and vote on or approve them now?
I'll be honest, I have not even had a chance to look at them.
I haven't either, so I am for pushing them to our next meeting if we can do that and if everybody's okay with that.
Yeah, let's do that so everyone has time to look them over and we don't have to spend an hour reading.
Thank you.
Takes longer to type them up, just so you know.
Jennifer, thank you for doing that because I know that is a job that is difficult, tedious.
Like, you'd think that I would learn and I would do it like right after the meeting, but
I used to type them on my computer like as people were talking, so that all I had to do later was go back and fix it. But then I don't catch everything when I do that, so there's pluses and minuses for that.
All right, on to public input. I know, Missy, you have someone who has public input. Does anyone, get out of here, does anyone else have any public input? No? Okay.
you're on mute.
You're on mute. Okay.
Just want to see everybody.
Stop.
Thank you. Don't break your book, please.
Mhm.
All right, so Jennifer Frazier has some public input. She's our first grade teacher. And so let me know if you can't hear her, okay? Okay, Jennifer.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, everybody can hear you.
So I have been a little bit concerned about how the kids were going to come back this year into first grade after, fourth quarter, last quarter being a little bit stressful and different for everyone. And in my room, I know that I had some primary phonics books that the former first grade teacher had in the room. And going through them, they are very sequential, and they also use the phonics program that actually kind of mimics the phonics program that we use at Eagle Academy. And they have books in sets. They have 6 sets, and there's 10 books in each set. And I thought that they would be really good for me to use for interventions, especially this first quarter, working with kids, trying to get them working with the phonics and helping them. The books go from consonant, vowel, consonant books, all the way up to using all of the phonics that we use in Spalding. So I did some research, and I thought, well, if I had 6 sets of the book, then I could rotate them through the kids depending on how they read to me, and I could use those as well as the baggie books to send home. So I'm sending home a few different things for the kids to read. So my intentions are to call my class and have either me or Mrs. Patterson or whoever my specialist helper for the 2 weeks is, call the kids and have them read these books or the baggie books to the adult. So I don't know if there's any questions or if there's any more I need to add.
Does anybody have any questions for Jennifer?
So these books are different than the baggie books.
Yes, it's a program called Primary Phonics, and the website is epsbooks.com, and I sent a price list to Missy and Deanne today for how much the 6 sets would cost.
Any other questions?
This is Casey. So just to be clear, what you're asking for is just some additional textbooks to basically catch kids up or to reorient them a bit post spring semester.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially for my strugglers. I had strugglers last year, and I'm anticipating having strugglers this year.
So do we know how much that dollar amount is? Because I'm assuming that she would like to try to move ahead with this. I don't know what your timeline is, like when you would want to have them to start, but if we were to order them, we'd also have to wait. So I'm assuming you want them sooner rather than later. So if we have a dollar amount, that will probably help us to decide.
Yeah, it was like $759, I believe, for so each, like I said, each set has 10 books, so 60 books total. So 60 times 6 would be how many books I'd get.
Jennifer?
Yes.
So the information that you sent me this morning says 6 copies of the PP storybooks. Set 1 is $126.60. So it's 6 copies per pack, and you wanted 6 packs. So $759.60 was the amount that you sent.
Yes.
Okay.
And I checked on Amazon, and they are actually more expensive. And then they also have a set you can buy, and that was more expensive. So there's a way you can get a cheaper rate. And I tried to do the cheapest rate.
Would there be shipping on top of this?
Oh, I don't know.
All right, anything else for Jennifer? All right, thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Okay. No one else had public input, correct?
I did not receive any phone calls or email requests.
Okay. All right. So if we want that on a future agenda, then that's where we'll have to put it to discuss and do anything with. That's me. PTO update. Mindy, did we do a PTO update after the meeting we just had, or no? I don't think so, did we?
I think the last PTO update that I had was from like our regular meeting in May.
Okay.
Yeah, because APB we did Thursday night, and then PTO we were the following Tuesday.
Okay. Let's see. We didn't discuss much. Trying to plan staff back to school food. Decided to refund all the milk and pizza for the people that had chosen to roll it over for this year's funds. Decided it's just easier to refund them and start fresh if we get to do any of that. What else? Paid for a 3-year movie license. We usually renew that every year, but it was discounted to do the 3 years.
Can we use your
Stop talking to me. And
wife? Can I say hi?
no, go. And what else did we do? Am I missing anything?
We put out
Oh, yes.
advertisement for the new office.
The open seats on PTO. Yes.
Yes.
And that is out. So parent rep, treasurer, and chair are all open seats. And then they're doing the election at the September 10th PTO meeting. And the applications are due the 1st of September. I think that's all. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Principals report.
I sent with my report some documentation to share with you regarding our response from the Anchorage School District for our request about the 6th, 7th grade combo class. Did everybody get to read that email? Okay. So it was not necessarily the response that I had hoped we would get, but it is not unexpected at this point in the year. All things considered, with everything that's going on enrollment wise, with the district financial wise, and with trying to get the school year launched, I don't think that they felt really comfortable making a decision, not hearing and getting, having an opportunity for us to explain our plans. So while they didn't close the book on that forever, they just said that for this year, they didn't think that we would be able to get that off the ground. I did update you on leveling our assessments. We did have our virtual open house yesterday, and we had some parents asking, and some students actually asking their parents to ask if we were going to be doing leveling again. And so we met with the teachers and tried to figure out the best way forward. So we have decided we're going to move any students who were already leveled last year to the same levels this year, and with the idea that everybody advanced to the next grade level. So if someone was in the 4th grade last year and they leveled to the 5th grade, they're in the 5th grade, they would be leveling to Miss Edison's class in the 6th grade. until we had any data that showed we needed to make any adjustments. And then for all of our new to Eagle Academy students, our teachers will be doing a little bit more extensive leveling assessments with those kiddos, and then make some determinations in addition to our iReady assessment to see if we need to level any of our new kiddos.
Will students who leveled down last year also level down this year then?
Yes.
Like Deanne said, though, unless some of our baseline assessments show that they need more extensive assessments because maybe they've made some progress. So we don't want to discount that they maybe have not made progress over the summer.
Right. As always, we take our kiddos where they're at, and if they've made a lot of progress over the summer, and we have some evidence of that through iReady, teachers can work with those students one-on-one to do some other assessments, and then make leveling adjustments at that point. So we don't want to lockstep anyone based on information that we had from the third quarter last year, but we can be pretty, we think that it's going to be pretty consistent across the board. I also included in my report a graphic of our CARES Act spending so far, just to give you an idea of what we've paid for and where we're at with the total amount that we are projecting. Any questions on that one?
When does that money actually show up?
When does that show up?
Yeah, or how does that all
Distributed?
play out?
So right now we haven't received any of those fundings. We're anticipating those fundings coming through based on the grant approval, but the grant and the district is distributing the grant funds they're receiving based
Okay.
on our average daily membership.
Okay.
And so we don't do our average daily membership until October, during the October comp period.
Oh,
So
that's right. Okay.
So I anticipate the money will show up sometime in December.
Okay.
But is it based on previous year's daily membership, or is it based on this coming October?
It's going to be based on this coming October, but they based our projected amount
So
on
that
last year's
was
enrollment.
based
Right.
on last, but it could be less than that.
Yes, based on this year's enrollment, it could be less. And that's why I haven't spent a lot of it, because I'm not real sure where we're gonna fall yet based on our enrollment. Facilities update. I did finally receive this morning from Moore Heating, who was contracted by our landlord to do the inspection of our HVAC system. They did replace the compressor unit in the AC above the 5th grade, 6th grade, and music hallway. And then they went through and did their inspection, and so any adjustments that needed to be made were made. I did also request of the landlord that they bring the filters, the air filters, in line with what the district is doing as far as MERV ratings are concerned for their facilities in the district. So we went from a MERV 7 to a MERV 11. And that's the baseline that the district is using in their facilities right now. And they feel really comfortable with how that's going to filter out any particulates and things floating around in the air.
And what does MERV stand for?
You would ask that question.
Is it all
Let me-
capitalized? Just so I know how to write it.
So MERV stands for the minimum efficiency reporting value, MERV.
Thank you.
So the higher the MERV rating on the filter, the fewer particles and other contaminants that can't pass through. And just for your reference, the ratings go from 1 to 16. So we were previously at a 7 and now we have moved up to an 11. And then we,
Said the landlord paid for that?
yes. And they were considerably more expensive than the MERV 7s. But he he didn't balk at any of that. And then, so I was also told that they replace the filters 4 times a year. We are waiting for the plumbers to come back and finish putting in the toilets in the girls' restroom. The boys are done. So as soon as, and then we have the stall dividers. Those have all been reinstalled. So we're almost done with that. Part of our facilities update. And then would you like me to wait until we get to the point in our agenda for enrollment updates?
You also had under facilities, the isolation area. Is that still a fluid plan or have you decided where that's going?
We're gonna put that in the staff lounge in the area that currently holds the file cabinets that we have for the TAs. We're gonna move that file cabinet out of that and then create potentially 2 separate sections divided by a curtain. And so Nurse Jan is working with health services to see which curtains they prefer us to use. And we're looking on Amazon and they all seem pretty standard. Any other questions
Do you
about
have on
anything I
here
put on?
the APEI? And you have the APEI safety grant on there too. So we're getting refunded for that. Or
We already received the check for that. And they are also, interestingly enough, the invoice that they sent us for our insurance was a little less than what they had quoted us. So the PR total changed and Tamara got notification, I think last week, that they're sending us the difference in a check.
interesting.
And that might just be, just a discount and based on everything that's going on, so.
Well, like no people in the building. Kind of.
Well, we do have staff in the building.
I mean, children.
Yes. No
Not
little people.
mass
Yeah.
quantities of children in the building.
Mhm.
Drastic reduction in, building. Yeah.
What else do you have on here? So I have a question about your bullet for the 6th grade specials because we don't have an agenda item for that, really. I guess what is going on with those?
So in anticipation of our request to do 7th grade and then the plan with offering a world language, because American Sign Language has now been designated as a official world language. The teaching and learning department and IT department had already started some of that work to make that happen. And so in talking with Mindy, she thought it would be a nice addition to our art, music, and PE electives. So that's just an option that I wanted to kind of throw out there, that it would still be available to us.
So I guess I have okay, but what about the other part, the art and music and PE? What is that?
That's our specials that we're currently doing.
So is it our teachers' lessons that got loaded on there, or something else that got?
So there's two things that our teachers are doing. The one is the nice part is the district had already gone through and anticipated that their specials teachers wouldn't be teaching specials, but they wanted, interestingly enough, specials curriculum for the regular ed classroom teachers to provide to students. So even though in the elementary schools, the specials teachers aren't teaching their specials, they're attached to a grade level band and are going to be assisting or co-teaching with a grade level teacher, there's still the expectation that somehow there's going to be at least 4 grades per special content area provided to students for instruction. So they had front loaded in Canvas lessons that meet standards and expectations for music, art, and PE. And so our specials teachers have been looking at those. They will be using some of those as their lessons with our specials, but they really are wanting to make it their own. So some of them will be, depending on how good the lesson is and how it matches our standards and expectations, some of them will be using some of those lessons at some point. They will be modifying some to bump them up and meet our standards and expectations. And some of them they just don't like. They don't feel like it's relevant for our kids or interesting. And so they'll be creating their own lessons like they would normally do in any part of the year.
So it basically works as some sort of model curriculum or additional stuff if they want it.
Yes, additional resources.
Okay.
So is that, I mean, you have it specifically under 6th grade specials on your report.
Mm-hmm.
So is that what 6th grade is only doing that, or they're still getting what we were told before, where the teachers were going to put something together, teachers being the specials teachers?
So our specials teachers they're all gonna work, even though they don't have a specific time slot to work with Mindy, or 6th grade still has specials. They're gonna push through their lessons to Mindy when they're working in the 5th and 6th grade rotation, or 4th and 5th grade rotation. Because we have 3 specials. One's gonna be K1 for 2 weeks. One's going to be 2, 3 for 2 weeks, and one's going to be 4, 5 for 2 weeks. That ones that working with 4, 5 are going to push to Mindy, their curriculum. And Mindy and I are working through how that's going to look for her class, because she's got right now 9 students instead of 26 students. Okay, thank you.
So I guess I'm a little confused. So you're going to keep the preloaded art, music, and PE lessons that ASD uses on there in Canvas?
Our art teachers are going to push to you
Okay.
those lessons they want to do. So it's either going to be the preloaded one because they viewed it and it's something that they would have done in their class normally.
Okay, so this is coming from our specialist.
Yes, everything is being pushed to our grade level teachers from our specialists, not straight from the district.
So because part of the plan was that all of our students would have an hour live with their classroom teacher and then an hour live with the special teacher. So the videos that they have recorded, whether it's their own or using the ASD ones
Mhm.
or wherever else, would be in addition to their hour of face-to-face time via Zoom.
So the expectation is that there's one specials lesson per week. So what's going to happen is, like for art, Miss Murphy has created a really cool unit on bears because she did a lot of traveling to Katmai this summer and wanted to use that, like she always does with her travels, to introduce to students. So she's created a lesson that she's throwing onto Canvas that can be used standalone. Doing her 45-minute Zoom session, she's actually going to teach that unit.
Oh, so it's one or the other, but they don't have to do both.
Well, so she's gonna, because some of that stuff's really hard for families to do on their own. So the hour Zoom session with their specials is actually going to be, instructional as far as our specialists are concerned. So sometimes they're going to tag team where this is the lesson online and I'm going to teach it to you. And then there's either extensions that you can do on your own or anything like that. Or if at some point there's a reason why a student is absent or can't make it, they can view that video for that day at their leisure, or the instructional lesson.
Okay. So with the same lessons, I'm assuming that they're planning different lessons for the different grade because they're doing the 2-week block. So what they would do for kindergarten first is not the same that they do for 4th, 5th, 6th. So they will be different videos that would be recorded for their 2-week session.
Well, they're still working with the standards and expectations for those grade levels.
Okay.
So if it was taught for, say for PE, it was learning how to throw a ball. It would look different for a kindergartner than it would look for a 5th or 6th grader. Some of the activities are going to be a little bit more complex. So they're going to have to adjust their lesson or whatever they send out based on the grade level and the standards and expectations for those ages. Just like our phonogram reviews, it looks different for a kindergartner than it does in Miss Edison's class where they're just going through them super quick.
So going back to the ASL class, are you anticipating that would replace one of the 3 regular specials that we have? And would that require any change to our charter if we're supplementing or replacing one of the current things that it says in our charter that they do?
So that is something that we would have to look at and put forth the request as, can we have a waiver to our charter to do this? And it's just, I'm sharing it with you as something that could be in addition to what we already do. I don't want to make it in replacing anything that we currently do because we already have math or art, music, and PE in our charter.
So how, well, first, we already told parents yesterday that it was a thing, right?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. It just might be a thing.
Okay. But how would it fit into a schedule if we're not removing something to replace with that?
So so we have 4 rotations in the first quarter. And basically what could happen is a rotation, she could go through a rotation for all 3. And then the 4th rotation could be American Sign Language.
So it would be more of an exposure and not necessarily a whole course then.
Right, it's not going to be a full course at all based on the amount of rotation that's going to go on. And just like it's not really going to be a full course for art, music, or PE because we're not offering all of them all 4 days a week, every week.
Well, but typically, those specials only happen 1 day a week during the school year, whereas ASL would typically be every
That's true.
day during the school year. So just proportionately, it would obviously be just an exposure and not a whole ASL course, because there'd be no way to squeeze that in unless it became a regular intensive time frame.
Right, unless you figured out that they're having it every week, because right now they're not going to have music at least once a week, right? They're having music, and when we come back into class, they'll have music 2 days a week because they're 2 days on, 3 days off. So there's the time they spend in it will not equal the amount of time they would spend if we're doing a regular school schedule. You're correct that way.
Okay. Any more quick questions on that? Because it does need to be an agenda item brought forth to the APB since it is a curriculum change, and we would also need to, take that to ASD. And, oh yes. Did you have a question? No? Okay. Any more questions on Deanne's principal's report?
I do. On the staffing, it says 1 certified AEA vacancy, 0.3 technology closed for 2021. That's not closed for the whole year, correct? That's only
It's closed right now. So if we
just
move back,
currently.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we come back, then we may fill that position, correct?
If we're doing the 5 days a week, all 6.5 hours a day, and we're back to what the school day looked like last year before we closed, we would want our technology position filled.
Okay, any other questions on that? And you also sent us out a school year calendar.
Yep.
Okay. But we don't need to do anything with that. It's just for us to look over.
I think it's an agenda item.
Under new business.
You're right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I
All
sent it.
Anything else for Deanne? No?
Is there a blue ribbon update? Just out of curiosity.
How do I diplomatically put this? Yes, there is an update, but it's not for public consumption.
Okay. It's because of Jennifer's notes, right? I went back through and looked at them all and I was like, oh, look, there's several things in here. Okay.
I have been updated, but I have been, it has
Well, as
been
long as it's,
requested that it doesn't get out into the public what the.
yeah, that's just as long as it's still progressing. That was so
Yeah.
the process is still in play. It didn't come to a halt because of anything else. Okay.
No, they have made a determination. I'm just not at liberty to share that publicly.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
No, I won't ask anymore.
Okay, special standards committee update. I think we're still on PE standards.
I think so.
Okay,
So I think it's at the point that I need to send it out to the committee and then look at it, meet, and go from there. And then I think right before COVID hit, so I don't know if it's happening now or not, but Mindy was going to meet with Mrs. Harple and work on coming up with all of those, the music ones, or consolidating it or whatever. But again, that was right before COVID hit. And so I don't know if that's kind of just on the table for a while now, getting the school year started and such.
I have the standards from Mrs. Harple. I just haven't done anything with them.
all right. Who is on that again? Me, Jennifer, Mindy. Paige, are you on it?
I did it with the science, so I assume I'm on it.
I think Missy was not.
I mean, technology,
Okay.
sorry, technology.
And then I don't know if Casey was jumping in because Deb was on it, but I didn't know if when Casey came on, if we'd even had a meeting on special standards since.
Maybe not. I don't remember.
The last meeting where I was involved in any of that was in the office, and you guys were setting up the teams to be on the special standards. And I was not on
Okay.
one, but
So-
now that Deb's gone, right?
Casey, did you see how sly that was?
Yeah. I'm like, but I am very clear when this all went down.
Okay, so left on it is me, Jennifer, Mindy, Paige. Yes.
That's
Okay, I suppose we should email to set up a meeting. All right, on to hiring committee update.
I would like to request that we set a date so that when when we're done with the external advertising, that I can actually invite some candidates to interview.
Is that the date that it would close? Is that the date that you want?
I would prefer that the date that it closes not be the date that we actually interview, because then I won't be able to get packets out to you and have you be able to review information on the candidates before we interview.
So you want like a target interview date? Is that the date that you want?
Yes. We should be able to start interviewing as early as Monday. And so depending on who's on the interview team, you know what next week is going to look like.
Yeah. I would suggest maybe Wednesday at the earliest. As much as I want to get those interviews going.
Mhm. And I think that your counterpart would probably appreciate a day or two after Monday and Tuesday to. Was it just you and
Paige.
Paige?
Mhm.
If Mr. Shepherd was wanting to do it, if not, then Mindy was going to do it.
Right, but is he on the committee or is he just in on for his TA? Because I thought that there was something with it had to be board members
It was,
who were actually
it's
on
his,
the committee.
it's his TA. That was his request, or what we discussed last time.
Okay.
But I don't think when previous year when we interviewed TA positions, I think it was that he was able to
Right.
give input, but he did not have a voting position on choosing the TA.
Well, to be
So-
clear, no one has a voting position. We just score and give recommendation.
That's what I meant.
Right.
So then it would be me and Paige, and then we would definitely need Mindy because don't we have to have three or
So my
Okay, just add me.
well, Deanne would be there too, so then that would be three.
But she's not, if it has to be board members, she's not technically a board member.
Well, no, but the principal has to be there, and the principal has the final say.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if you were saying if you had to have 3 board members specifically, or if it had, I don't know what the 3 number meant.
Mhm.
So I didn't advertise that the positions were either second or third grade because at any time we can rotate our TAs. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull, depending on our pool, I'm going to pull from both, and I'm going to suggest that we interview for TA positions and we choose 2. Because what I don't want people to have to do is interview twice for 2 separate positions in case they don't get the one they say they really wanted. But because technically, you know, we're going to be able to move TAs to where we have the best, where we have needs and where their skill sets fit the best. So it will be great if Mr. Shepherd and Mrs. Timberlake are sitting in on all of those interviews, and then can decide which one we can decide as a team once we've scored everybody and figured out our 2 best candidates, which ones would fit better in which classrooms.
I agree. That sounds great.
I did have somebody who reached out to me that was kind of interested, but they were wondering what a TA position would kind of look like in this weird COVID situation. So I don't know if that's something that's listed on the job position or how that would work.
Well, their job duties as a TA is to support their classroom teacher. Obviously, they're not going to do recess duty. They're not going to do lunch duty at this point until we have kiddos in the classroom.
You don't have to keep the teachers under control.
Yeah. They actually have been doing a pretty good job of that. Talking their teachers off the ledge.
Yes.
Helping us keep our sanity.
Yes.
And you know, it of course not working with students in person, but you know, we can ask our TAs to call or you know, have a Zoom. We can do breakout sessions where they might listen to students read and take data for us.
Right. And all of the positions right now in the district, with the exception of maybe just a few, have the option to telework if their work duties can be accomplished from home. So there are some times where principals or administrators are able to ask their staff to actually come into the building. Like on Monday, the 24th, when we're doing materials and device distributions, I can't expect teachers to be able to do that from their homes. So, but when we're really into the whole online instruction, there are going to be opportunities for RTAs to work from home, just like our teachers did in the spring. But, you know, we're really hoping that they're going to not just be here while we're in COVID, but when we come back in full session and be doing the same job duties that RTAs have always done. So ladies, will you send me some times that you absolutely can't be available next week, Wednesday? And then I'll set up a schedule, and then we'll start filling slots in with people who accept our invitation to interview.
Is this next week, Wednesday, as in the 26th?
Yes.
Are you open to like during the school, like the actual workday, or are you wanting evening or both?
I think we can do during the school day.
Okay.
Over Zoom.
Yes. That will
Oh,
be
I thought
really
we could do it in
interesting.
person.
Would you like to do an in-person interview?
Can we?
Yeah, can we?
Not on the 26th. We have to wait till after the 31st.
Why? Why
Because
after the 31st?
The municipal order?
That
So could you do like a round 1 with Zoom and a round 2 in person or something?
I say let's just do it over Zoom. I'd rather not wait. And this is kind of what's been going on. So let's just do it over Zoom. With
Yeah.
the understanding that the video must be on.
And you know, there's a new to the district. If they're new to the district, there is a probationary period where we do some evaluatory type assessments, and then we can determine if this is something that's really going to work out for us, or if we have to move people on.
And FYI, the policy procedure manual says that the committee has to have at least 3 APB members, including either parent or teacher, just so you know. So Mindy, you might have to do it.
Oh, I already said I would. I'll be there.
Indy's
I was
in.
trying to read through it, so you know.
Okay.
I maybe missed that.
I'll be there.
So do you,
Free anytime that day. So plug in a time.
do you have any applications yet then? I know you said you didn't within district, but out of district?
We didn't have any in district for either position, and I haven't checked since Friday.
But you did advertise on the open house yesterday, so that was good.
Yes.
All right. Anything else for hiring committee update? On to,
I
sorry.
heard on the interventionist TA, do we have any idea if when you'll find out if that grant's being funded or not?
You know, I haven't even asked.
Okay.
But you were not recommending that before because they travel classrooms, and until we're in low risk, you're minimizing the classroom traveling, yes?
Well, we have the opportunity to hire, but I think that position, we can wait till we are actually back in the building. Unless we get to a point where we're talking with teachers and looking at the possibility of really needing to support some of our kiddos who are struggling in a way that that they and their TAs at this point are not able to do. And with the iReady instruction that we, the instructional piece with iReady, that we can do remotely.
And are you saying in building at all or in building low risk?
Oh, when we bring kids back into the building,
So even at the medium high risk level? Okay.
because the kids won't be moving to classrooms. And just like our special ed teacher, she would be supporting kids in the classroom also. You know, keeping in mind social distancing and things like that. We still have to figure that out for our one-on-one type situations.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Was
Was
that all?
That was all that I had.
Okay. All right. Moving on to, wait, sorry, did someone else talk? No. Okay. Moving on to old business, review policies and procedures manual. I haven't done that, but I will do that before our next one, but it's tabled for now. And then onto election committee. I left that on just because we kind of left it hanging to do a fall election, hopeful that we would not be doing this in the fall, but here we are. So who, does anyone remember? It was Mindy. Jennifer, were you on it?
I
Oh,
think it was by default, anybody whose position wasn't open was on the committee.
So
Which
that would be, you're muted.
is it?
Sorry. I think it was myself and Deb.
Oh,
Yeah,
Deb.
Deb left me.
Deb.
I was on it too because
And
my
Jennifer.
was
Oh,
not.
okay. And Jennifer. So it's just Jennifer and myself.
Paige, is your position up this year?
yep.
And mine. And Missy's.
And Casey's is the year.
And Casey's.
Man,
Okay.
Mindy.
So Mindy and Jennifer.
Woohoo!
Got a lot of campaigning to do.
Do we get to figure out our own rules since we're not going to necessarily be able to follow the policy that we set in place before because of students are not in the building to give out the envelopes with the
No, I think we're going to have to figure out a way to do what our policy says, but like, you know, obviously we can't send them home in folders. How are we going to get them to them? I think we could probably, and I might have to check with Daryl on that, like what can or can't we try moving to based on what our procedures and policy says. But if we have to try electronic, we're going to have to try and find something that, you know, follows our policy of like, it's not attached to a name, but we also need to make sure that people aren't quadruple voting.
There is software out there that in a software program. Unfortunately, Eagle Academy doesn't actually already use it. But I can search for the software I'm talking about was through Advanced Ed, where you could actually send out surveys that were password protected, but the password wasn't necessarily linked to a particular individual. So you couldn't tell who password N9541 was. But you could tell that N49
But it sent like
did
just
vote
one
and
person
only
an
voted
email.
once, right?
how would we do that to choose people
Okay.
because there's only one vote per family.
Mhm.
So if they have multiple email addresses,
Then we would send it to their primary email address in queue.
You.
Mhm.
so is that something that the district has access to or we would have to purchase? Do you know?
I don't know if they'd actually let us use it. It's not a district one. It's the Advanced Ed, and they changed their name, but they actually are the ones that accredit all of our high schools. It's the national accreditation for, it's the largest accreditation organization out there. They do international schools and things like that. So any school with a graduating class, so like Stellar is a middle school, high school, they would have that. And if it was a K-12 school like Polaris is, they would go through the accreditation process. But since elementary schools don't have graduating seniors, they typically don't participate in accreditation like the other schools do. Which is a really nice thing because it's a lot of work to walk through that process. Which would be easy for Eagle Academy since we're such high achievers anyway.
So Vanessa, is this just something you can ask Daryl? Hey, we need to do this, and what software applications do you have out there to make it happen?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or-
I would just don't tell them we don't want to be creative here. They need to provide us with some sort. I mean, you know.
Well, they don't have to provide.
Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying. Like, but please don't. Like, if you have a best practices or something that works, let us know what it is.
And I'm sure the other charter schools are going through this
Right.
too. He may have something on his radar.
Right.
So do we need to pick dates and of like starting to put out applications and things, or do we need to figure out the process before we can start asking people to apply?
Let me find out from Daryl what we can, should, whatever do, and then we'll regroup again. Since we did not set a date before, we just said fall, so we still have fall time enough to do that.
So is that something that you can get from Daryl and just give to me and Mindy and then we run with it, or do we have to meet back as a whole board to talk about it? So,
No, I think if he gives a good direction, I can just give it to you and Mindy.
and then we can choose dates and all of that stuff without having to meet with the whole board.
Yes.
You probably want to have a committee report with a recommendation that the board just says, yes, let's go with it.
So we
Or,
may,
you know, has questions and asks and things like that.
Well, and what about the opening and closing dates? I mean, usually, I mean, aren't there parameters?
Well,
for that?
that's
A couple
decided
weeks?
by the committee, not the whole board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then, so then will Mindy also take care of my seat? Because that is a different process of polling or, you know,
Usually the
vote.
principal, I believe it is written that the principal does that and oversees that vote for the teacher rep positions.
So Dan needs to send out an email to all the teachers, well, no, to the primary teachers to see who is interested. And then
Yes.
it goes out? Okay.
but you're welcome to stay on, Missy. Really enjoy having you here.
So to be clear, primary is K12 or K123?
In the past, it's been K1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's K3.
And all teachers get to vote or just the
All teachers get to vote.
It's all,
special ed, all of that?
it's all classroom teachers, correct?
Okay.
Which that would be, that would include special ed too, because we had a special ed teacher that was on our board for a while. So, and she could go either way. She could put her name in the hat for primary or intermediate.
Okay, well, I will get some information from you and we will have that coincide with the parent and community seat votes.
Okay. Let's see here. Enrollment update.
So I gave you preliminary information. based on what was in queue yesterday.
Yeah, and start with the top down, okay?
What do you mean the top down?
Start with sixth grade.
Sixth grade, we are currently sitting at 9 students
Yay! We're still holding at 9.
out of 26 possible seats. So we have 17 vacant seats that we could potentially fill between now and October, the
October
October
something.
count.
Well, do we want to, you made that flyer before, do we want to start circulating it? I feel like we were waiting for your go ahead, but never got a, yeah, send it out. Like, do we want to start posting that?
The flyer's done. I mean, we'll have to change it now. But I fully expected after the 5th revision that it was gonna go out on Facebook. I didn't realize that it hadn't. So we can actually start advertising.
Does it need to be? I don't think there's anything that needs to be changed, does it?
Well, it had the lottery information on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna share with you some other information that you guys can decide on how, or give me some input on how you want to move forward. So 5th grade, we are sitting at 22 students currently enrolled and registered, and we have 4 seats out for the wait list. And then beyond that, we have 5 seats or 5 students left on the wait list. So we've exhausted a lot of kiddos on the wait list trying to figure out who's coming here. A lot of kids that we are calling have already accepted positions at various homeschool organizations around the state.
4 wait list and then 5 wait list.
So we have 4 that have been offered.
Oh,
And beyond those 4, we have 5 other students still on the wait list, waiting for offered seats. For 4th grade, we have 24 students registered and confirmed, and 1 seat waiting for the student to register, and 1 seat out for offering. Beyond that, we have 15 more students on the waiting list for 4th grade. There hasn't been a lot of turnover in 4th grade this year, so we still have quite a few people on the wait list for that. In 3rd grade, we have 20 students registered and confirmed. 1 student has accepted but not finished the registration process, and 5 seats out for offering.
and no wait list.
3 on the wait list beyond that. In 2nd grade, we have 23 students confirmed and registered, 1 person who accepted a seat but hasn't finished registration, and then 2 seats out for that have been offered. So they have 48 hours to confirm, and so Tamara's been calling and talking with each parent and seeing if they have any questions and if they want to accept right away instead of waiting for 2 days to see if they're going to accept at the end. But some parents want to take the full amount of time to consider. And then we have 6 students on the wait list beyond that for 2nd grade. For 1st grade, we have 20 students confirmed and registered. She has 5 seats being offered, and then 9 students on the wait list beyond that. And in kindergarten, we have 18 kiddos who've gone through the pre-registration and registration process, which is pretty huge. So that's really good news. 6 students who haven't yet finished the registration process, and 1 seat out that has been offered, and then 12 more students beyond that on the waiting list. She's done a lot of work the last 2 days in calling those families that were not new or on the wait list, and seeing if they had planned on registering. And quite a few of them have already indicated that they're homeschooling with either an in-district or out-of-district homeschool. And a lot of our families are actually moving out of state. So some of them are already in Texas or Oklahoma or Tennessee, wherever they're ending up. And they just hadn't had the opportunity to call us and let us know they weren't coming back. So that's why we have a lot of seats being offered at this point.
Okay. So we have mostly full classes though.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 136 students.
Right. So I anticipate that we will be able to fill those seats, and we have some students who actually are not on the wait list, who haven't lotteried in, who do want in. And so Tamara has been keeping names of those kiddos. And, you know, we can, if we exhaust the waiting list, start offering on a first come, first served basis. And I do want for you to be aware, you know, that our charter says that we will accept students up until the first day, I believe, of the 4th quarter or spring break, right before spring break. I can't remember what the deadline is. So we want to, you want to start thinking about at what point, if we don't have classes filled, do we want to enroll students, continue to enroll students?
Well, if that's what our charter says, then wouldn't we want to continue enrolling them up until that? I mean, it's not really any different than any other year if someone moved here mid 3rd quarter or mid 2nd quarter.
Right, the whole military thing.
Yeah.
Well, typically you don't have openings, or if you had openings, you would go through your wait list and it would fill pretty quick.
So you're saying, Deanne, that if we go into 4th quarter and still have openings and we get a first come, first serve that wants to come in, then we should consider letting students in later than we normally do?
No, I'm just letting you know that there's a real possibility we probably will have several classes with openings to begin the school year in September or October, and not have exhausted our wait lists. And so in October or November, there's the possibility that we could be onboarding new students in multiple classes. So I'm just letting you know what our charter currently says. It's an unusual year. It very rarely happens.
But it's likely that there would be families that may have started homeschooling and decided, this is just not for me. I need them to go into a school. And those families may come back and say, hey, do you have a spot for me? And then would want to come in. That kind of a situation. Perhaps there are other reasons, but.
And it's highly likely that we would have a spot. We know for sure that there will be spots in the 6th grade.
I think.
Well, I don't think we should change. I don't think we should change it. We've had plenty of mid-year vacancies and fills for at least the past 3 years. So I don't know why we would cut it off any earlier.
I'm just letting you know that you will more than likely have not just one. I mean, last year I think we had two the whole year. But I don't anticipate us just having two this year.
I think sixth grade should do a cloning curriculum, a cloning unit for science and practice cloning. And then you could double your numbers.
Listen, you're asking a lot of me for science. So if you want to come lead it, more power to you.
We did have a family bring back their sixth grader today, who was going to do a middle school program. Unfortunately, we had one of our sixth graders tell us that they're moving out of state.
Yeah, I was down to 8 for like 10 minutes and then I was back up to 9.
And interestingly enough, this kiddo levels to the 7th grade. So Mindy will actually be teaching a combo class this year. And she's not smiling.
I think she's choosing to ignore you.
I'm listening to the church people sing next door.
Mm-hmm.
They're lifting me up in spirit.
Okay, any more or any questions on enrollment update?
So we just want to encourage people to get that flyer and share that, encourage our families to do that for sixth grade.
Okay. Well, when we get off and I get home tonight, I will review the flyer, make sure that everything is current, and then I'll send it to who wants to post that. I'll send it to Mindy and
Paige, probably Paige, so she can post it on our
okay.
not PTO school page.
The official page.
Then it's definitely shareable.
Mm-hmm.
Does somebody want to also post it on our Facebook page
If you send it to me, I'll post it on Facebook.
and request that people share it?
Yes.
Okay. Will do.
All right. Anything else on enrollment update? All right, on to new business, review school year calendar of events and back to school activities or lack thereof. So Deanne sent us all out a calendar.
So does the early release at noon, will that affect our students at all? I don't know what the Zoom class times are.
Unless we are in session, it will not affect students.
And is there, I'm vaguely recalling in your newsletter, did it have all of the Zoom sessions of when they all were?
It was in the PowerPoint that I shared with the families.
I haven't had a chance to watch that yet.
Oh, okay.
That might be something good for us to be able to post on the PTO page so families have that visible right in the front so they all know when their students are expected to be online or if they can.
We did talk about today how we're going to get that information to our families. There was a little bit of concern about if we made it public, if I published it on the website, because that was my intention. Then that would be an open invitation to anyone who views our website to hop in on those Zoom sessions. So that information can be there. We can put it on the Facebook page, but it probably won't be a hot link.
How did you do it last quarter? I know it was a live Google document, but was it just through our email that we accessed it, or was it on the website? I can't remember.
I think what I did was I think I sent it out in a newsletter.
Because however it happened last time, I know that I bookmarked it and then I was able to access it, and that was supremely helpful for me. So just some way for the families to be able to easily access it.
And Jennifer, it will also be on each student's Canvas page. So there's a schedule, the Zoom schedules on their Canvas page that the students will even be able to go click on.
And will that be like the whole school altogether, or just that individual class?
No, just that individual class and their specials. So the specialist, they'll be able to click right on the calendar for the day that their specialist has their Zoom too.
What I can do is I think what I did last year was I generated a shareable link that allowed people to view the page and not edit the page. And I think I sent that out to families either during a Blackboard mass email or something like that. So families can actually bookmark it. The students will be able to get to that via their Canvas, but parents wouldn't necessarily be able to get to that. I mean, you could probably get to it if you bookmark it on your phone or, you know, whatever device you're using. That'll help too.
It's also helpful for families that have multiple students to not have to go into each student to see the big picture of this child needs to be on this time, this child on this time. So all on one calendar is very helpful, especially for multiple students in a family.
So I think in this last newsletter, I took a screenshot of it so people could see what it looked like, but not actually click on it and link to what's going on. And so you'll notice on the calendar that there's things like Pajama Day. And I think Pajama Day is the only one that made it on there. I'm not sure why.
It's the only one that's
Because it's the same time every year.
Right. So we could still do Pajama Day, whether we're in session or at home. And I have been meeting or talking with some teachers who've been doing our extracurricular type activities like Battle of the Books and GOB, Spelling Bee. They're checking with those national organizations to see if they're still conducting those or if they figured out a way to do it virtually. And if they are conducting those, I think the state has already indicated for Battle of the Books that they want to be able to push that forward in some form. And they're trying to figure out how to do it virtually if we have to, if we can't do it in person. So I'd like to be able to still offer those addendas to those teachers to do those types of extracurricular activities for students. I mean, we already have it had it budgeted for the school year, so.
And I know that we are theoretically are supposed to have a picture day on there, but I don't know if Life Touch has come up with any alternative for picture day. I have no clue what that could ever even look like, or if that's going to even happen this year.
So they've sent me a couple of emails just with some preliminary information on what they're looking at as far as plans are, not necessarily asking us to set some dates, but they have been working on their COVID requirements and saying how, you know, how they want to set things up and if they are going to be doing things by appointment. If we're not in session, it would have to be sort of by appointment. It doesn't look like we'd be doing whole group class photos where everybody stands in the risers close to each other, but at least individual student photos that they're working on a way for us to be able to do that. So instead of students maybe sitting, they're all just going to be standing so that there's limited contact with surfaces and things like that.
I think it was, in my mind, it was more because it would, I can't remember off the top of my head what day it was targeted for. I think it was October. But that if we're not even meeting in the school, if they would even be able to be doing portraits. So just on that level, if we're doing medium, high risk, then I'm sure they could find a way to make it work. I don't know if we're at high risk and not even meeting in the school that they could even do it then. So
I'm semi-positive that if we worked things out and could assure proper social distancing and safety and air circulation and all those sorts of things, that we might be able to work something out. I'd like to be able to plan something just in case, to say, hey, keep this on your radar, maybe save this date. We're still hoping to have school photos. But all of that will be based on current health and safety guidance from the state and municipality.
have they asked you to respond to them, or are they just sending informational emails? Because I haven't gotten anything from them.
They're just sending informational emails in general to schools.
Okay, then I'll reach out to our Life Touch rep and see if they still have us on their book for the day that we had originally scheduled, or if they've just kind of wiped it all clean.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the calendar? No? Okay. On to the next item, set meetings for the year. So we probably shouldn't set them for the whole year until we hold an election, but we could safely set September and possibly even October, just so we have them out and planned. I think, what did we do last year? Second Tuesdays is what we did, I think.
I think it was the first
It's
Tuesday.
the first Tuesday, yeah.
First Tuesdays?
But I will not be available the first Tuesday in September.
That's the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's only in 2 weeks.
It's 2 weeks from now.
Okay, so for September, what do we want to do?
I mean, you don't have to schedule around me. I'm just letting you know somebody else would have to take notes.
So
Well, we could stick to do the 8th and then October 6th. That's close enough to a month apart if you wanted to keep it on Tuesdays.
I'm good with that.
Okay, and I know PTO did September 10th, so 2 meetings for us that week.
So you said the 8th and then October 6th?
Yes.
Does it matter to anyone that the 8th is the day after Labor Day? I just don't know if that matters. Some years it does, some years it doesn't.
Well, I didn't get the Denali Road Lottery pick this year, so I won't be going anywhere.
I keep forgetting to do that.
I did that 30-mile one and it was okay, but you definitely need to go further in.
And it's okay. I've gotten it 4 times, so I think that
What? Yeah, you're an abuser of the system right there.
Do we
well,
want
4 times in 20 years, it's always, once every 5 years.
to keep the 5:45 time?
I'm good with that. Okay, so those 2 dates work for everybody? Yes, okay. At 5:40.
I'll get those posted on the website.
Okay. And next, financial review. Do you have a financial review for us or no?
No change in the general ledger from last
Okay.
week.
Okay, then all I need is a motion to adjourn. Yeah, unmute.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, who was it?
Me, Missy.
All right, I will second.
Okay, adjourned at 7:19 p.m.
It's been a long week, okay?
Yeah.
It's only Tuesday.
I know.
At some point yesterday, I thought yesterday was Tuesday, so that's good.